What's going on, buddy? You know, I thought I'd go about this thing with a different kind of method. You know how they got chickens, you go to the egg aisle. You know, you've got your grade A pasteurized eggs. And then you got your organic free range chickens and their eggs. And then you got the free range, or you got the pasture raised chicken eggs. You know, I'm coming at this with the pasture raised method, you know, this sort of, I'm coming at you pasture raised human methodology here. And that's to say, I'm taking off the restrictions, the limitations. And I just want to see the pathway. Yeah. You know, a sort of bird's eye view, top down, you know, third dimension, looking down at the 2D shape of whatever this talk is going to be. Because I felt compelled to just, you know, kind of get out and let off. And I was curious as to what I would even say. Kendrick Lamar, he's got a song, I think it's Mortal Man. And in the end of the song, he says, you know, all we got left is music, man. These vibrations. You know, sometimes I get behind the mic and I don't even know what kind of vibration I'd be putting out. What kind of energy I'd be putting out. You know? So, I can also see how this can very well be just like an old 49er. Just in a Russian river, just there with his little pan, sifting through the silt. Oh, look it. Got myself a ruby. Oh, look it. Got myself a little nugget here. You know? And yesterday, in passing, I heard something that stuck with me. That I liked. I liked the sound of it, and I liked the essence of it. And what it was this Estonian comedian had said, it's not even about the technique, it's about the spirit. Si se puede, you can do it. And in that moment, I don't even know, it kind of just tranquilized me. I felt very, loose. I felt loose. I felt calm. I felt like whatever sort of knots I had in the fascia of my spirit and whatever sort of habitual muscle tensions that sort of pilot my body around were assuaged. You know, the kind of theme that is make me new again. Make me new again. You know, a lot of this is kind of just like a wake-up call. Oftentimes in my life, there's this kind of lullaby, just like a lull, a lulling. You know, you kind of get used to things. You kind of get, you adjust, you acclimate to life and how you approach it, how you perceive it, how you interpret it. And, and all these sorts of things that, things just become, things have a way of, you have a way of just settling into your particularities in life. You settle into a certain kind of somebody. And over time, these things will kind of calcify. And I don't think that's necessarily good or bad. I mean, these are, the differences in life, the things that turn us into individuals are the various sorts of ways that we're, different from other people. These are the various vector points of human beings, the various concave and convex aspects of each individual person that we can go and define people, label them, use some kind of adjective, to describe people. We describe how they behave, how they move around in the environment. Describe their character, their traits. And oftentimes, I like the sense of returning. I like to clear the cache quite often. I like to declutter quite often. And I think that over time, that's something that's really built up in my life. At least, I could definitely see many examples of that in my life. When I was a young man, when I was an adolescent, and all these sorts of things, there was a lot of disorder in my life. Tons of, I wouldn't even necessarily say chaos. I'd say more than just chaos. I'd say it was more of an unconsciousness, or like an unawareness inhabiting my life. I could live in disorder. I can live in a kind of hoarder house. I can live in a mess. And things were okay. I wouldn't necessarily look around in my environment and notice when things were in disarray. I could very much live in that, and nothing would really, that wouldn't really affect my mental state in any sort of way that I would be able to notice at the time. And I didn't really have any sort of proclivities or pulls to tidy up things, to clean things up, to make things orderly, to pay attention to details, the small stuff. And as I've gotten older, as I've shed the various behaviors and the activities in which I participate in have changed. Priorities have shifted. I've definitely noticed this sort of pull towards creating, maintaining order in my life. You know, that sort of manifests as a lot of cleaning. There's also this thing, there's this word that I learned, it's called knolling. The word knolling. I'm really fond of this word knolling. Knolling is, I'm paraphrasing here, you know, the definition of knolling is to organize your space, organize your environment in such a fashion that if you ever had to do anything in there, whether it be some sort of artistic endeavor or
I found this on the web.
Or you're in the kitchen about to make some food, prepare something, that everything is laid out in such a way that you can do that. You know, a lot of my life is this sort of knolling. And it's not as if knolling were the secret of the universe or, you know, one of the noble truths that leads to enlightenment. But I think that there is a particular kind of person out there that knolling is definitely the answer. And I'll tell you why. Knolling is subtle. Knolling is very subtle. It's very much like Jordan B. Peterson-esque, you know, clean your room, maintain order. And if you don't know, then you don't know. And perhaps, you know, you're either skeptical about it or you just think to yourself, well, what does that do? Dude, knolling is, it takes all these sorts of like finger pointing at the moon philosophies, and it is the embodiment of that. It's about the journey and not the destination. You know, for me, knolling is the prep work that allows me to engage a part of my brain. It's like yoga. It has like yogic effects. It has actual physiological, chemical reactions that my endocrine system, my pineal gland, you know, my hormones, my chemicals, you know, all these sorts of things, they start sending out whatever, serotonin, dopamine, just, you know, tranquilizing effects. It puts me in a state of mind where I'm focused, I'm calm, I'm clear, and I'm at peace. It takes me away from the sort of anxiety that makes me think that I don't have time to do things. It takes me out of the mental space where I feel like I'm always kind of climbing, you know, like I'm always in some sort of deficit that I've got to crawl back and up from because I'm already 8 steps behind. Knolling. in the physical world, I'm taking away variables. It's subtle. I have a clean car. I have a clean kitchen. I've got a clean room. I've got a clean garage. I've got a clean laundry room. I've got a clean pathway between all of these places. I've got a clean foyer, entry to that home. I've got a clean floor. I've got a clean sink. I've got a clean bathroom. And all of the sort of arteries and veins between these spaces, a clean patio, opened windows, natural light coming in. All of these sorts of things, creating the kind of environment that you really want to be in, that is underrated. This is subtle. This is super subtle. But, there are times, this is a particular thing. A very specific memory, experience of mine that I'm gonna go back to. And I walk up the stairs. I pan left. I see the couch. I see the pillows strewn about. I see the blankets, the throw blankets, strewn about. It's nothing. It's nothing. It's literally, it's hardly a thing. But I did notice it. I did notice it. Walk by, see the jackets hanging over the chairs. Walk by, see shoes just around. They're these almost non-events. Very, very small little, who cares? You're gonna let that get in your way, friggin'. Not really. Not necessarily. But I'll tell you what, I do notice these things. I like to get my life to a place where, hey, what is it like when I don't... Dude, can you? Are you able to? Try. Literally try. Put the time in, put the effort into knolling your space and your environment that you spend a lot of your time in. Are you able to knoll that in such a way where when you walk in, what you notice is feng shui? Like, I don't even, like harmony? Just like complete, like nothingness but shining? Are you able to? It is, dude, it is epic. I like that. I like that feeling. Knolling. Now, this isn't the end all be all. This isn't anything crazy or ridiculous or anything, but I do feel that this is at the very least super helpful. Like, this is my pathway to peace of mind, like feeling relaxation. My picture of relaxation isn't chilling on the couch or just, slumped over. Finally, I'm not doing anything. That's not necessarily like my idea of that's not like my aim, my goal, to finally be done with the things and just, yes. Oh, yes, I'm so exhausted with everything that my life is that I have to, literally just not do anything. Just, let me scroll. I don't know. And it is like tantric or something. It builds this kind of, it's like a honing of chi. It is like engaging with all these various sorts of things in my chakras. It puts me in kind of state of mind where my thing a lot of my things are technique based. They are form based. They are type A, orderly, a little bit of organized confusion, It's a whole funky gestalt of things. Like when I work out, when I exercise, I like bodybuilding as opposed to weightlifting. And the distinction between these two things is weightlifting is freaking move the thing. Move the thing. If you engage your traps and your rear delts and your lats and your forearms and you're just trying to move this thing, hey, you're weightlifting. To me, bodybuilding is intentional. It's slower, it's controlled, it's particular. And I like that. I like that tiny shift in how you engage with it. I like being able to target a very specific area. I like that kind of thing in my life. When I'm making art, art is very fun to me. Art is a very interesting medium to me. Because sometimes, art is I don't even know, kind of like a buddy trying to describe something to you that you have yet to really put your finger on. Sometimes I'll make art, and I don't care if it's messy. I'm not trying to make the craziest thing. Sometimes I'm just trying to open up these various corridors of my life. What is really going on in my experience that I can't put into words. Maybe I can do it through my arm, through my hand, through these various strokes of ink, markers on a piece of paper. And a lot of times I don't really care. I'm not very OCD about how it comes out and what it looks like. and I'm not very lasered in, as to what is he trying to tell me? Is there some kind of hidden, double, triple entendre, something deep in there that is trying to tell me? I'm not always looking for these kinds of things. But I do notice that my art, the way it feels as I'm making it, the kind of style that'll come out, the kind of style that rears its head and smiles at me like, hey buddy, hell yeah, will come out after I have had the journey of 1,000 tacks. Is just something that I particularly like. The journey of 1,000 tacks is on your way from A to B. There are an infinite number of various pins and plot points, kind of in a zigzag curve, loop-de-loop, corkscrew over here, just infinite number of these various pins and plot points between A and B. And it's not just A as 1 and B as 2. And this sort of building of momentum and inertia of whatever this kind of energy is, as I know, is one of my favorite ways to live my life, my favorite ways to experience life. It's when I'm doing this, it's not that it's very much not as if I have something in the future that is pulling me with this kind of anxiety, and something that is in my present that is pushing me sort of off this cliff to perform or do something that I'm not even, I don't know. Whoa. Wait, what do we do? Whoa. Hold up, I'm not certain on this yet. Come on. Give me some space, give me some time. You're rushing me. And I recognize that I'm not this kind of, ethereal, enlightened being. Because I witness behaviors from behind my eyelids, within my body, that I am a participant of. And that I will do things that I'm not fond of. I do things that I'm not proud of. I do things that I see where I fall. And so that I don't have this kind of golden seal stamp to give out and say, yes, this is the way. This is, give out commandments or what have you. Now, what I'm trying to say is, less and less do I really feel kind of authority to give out advice as though it was infallible, working methods to some kind of like transcendent life experience, like how to be happy forever, how to have only up experiences and no down experiences, how to have a positive effect on the world, your own experience of things, and for those around you. But Knolling, dude, Knolling is crazy. Just the... Oh, dude. I don't see any downsides to Knolling. I think that, creating, and Knolling go hand in hand. I imagine that if I were to create something, or to give the time, give the energy, give myself to creating something, if I have yet to clean the canvas, allow the dust to settle on it, allow everything to be, my environment to be in disarray, or things just flown about, things that in the substructure of me, I feel internally a kind of obligation to at some point do, and I have yet to handle these various sorts of self-imposed responsibilities, chores, every day, daily life stuffs, maintenance. That everything that I'm a part of creating, everything that I'm a participant of, has this kind of residue and just, you can get a whiff in my pheromones in that moment, that there is something that I just, it's as subtle as Saito from the Inception movie. He lays down on the carpet and he's like, he recognizes he's in the dream because the carpet wasn't wool or something like that, and it just feels ever so slightly different. Just the tiniest thing that only someone in the know would be able to notice. Is just in the very far out, very zoomed in sort of view of everything. of everything that my life is made up of, and that I make up of my life. And so, you know what? I think that's that's the bulk of it. I'm gonna continue chipping away over here at my day. I'm gonna continue making progress in the direction of my various endeavors. Wabe sabe. Perfectly imperfect. All right. I'll catch you in the next one. Deuces.